This is going to be one where we're just having fun with gaming characters and mascots. Join us on this weird mascot journey of mascottery.
All right. That sounds like a way to do it. So,
okay.
We were rolling for the past 5 minutes, so...
I hate you.
It's what?
Why do you do this? You don't even give me warning.
I mean, whatever. It's banter. Like, this is the kind of stuff you want.
Okay. That's fair. Dun, 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 dun,
father fight, father fight, one-winged father.
Music is in the intro. I am James. That is John. This is Games with John and James.
Turtle power. We get a salute after that.
That was the sound of John taking me out back because that was horrendously bad. But
I also like how you were the one who signed your own death warrant. But anyway, yes. So hello everybody. I'm John,
and I'm James.
This is Games with John and James. We're at 4 now, aren't we?
Yeah, episode 4. Character, mascot. Think of it how you will, but we are here to talk about the best of all the games we can think of.
Right. So allow me to elaborate that further. So anybody who is a sports fan has done a fantasy draft. Their ideal team, their ideal series, whatever. So we thought it'd be fun because the last episode went into more kind of heavier topics.
We, as John said, we were boomers because it was, this is my opinion of the couch co-op. This is the esports. As
kids these days.
As John said, to potentially alienate our fans, and we're sorry, we love you, nerds. Nerds ruin video games.
Yeah, it was basically get off my lawn. So we thought we'd dial it back a little bit and do something fun. So what I used to do with my brother is we would do fantasy drafts of just random stuff. So it could be like television shows or actors, movies, crap like that. So what we thought would be fun is if we gave that same fantasy draft treatment to mascots. Now, what is a mascot? Well, anybody who grew up in the 90s or 80s like we did, we know about the Marios and the Sonics and the Aero, the Acrobats and the Gexes and the Spyros and the Crashes. Those are mascot. Basically a catch-all for a character action platforming game.
You can quantify it even more. Like the 90s and the 80s were the pinnacle of, oh, this is a cool TV show, merchandise it out. This was wrestling. Hulkamania. Mm-hmm. Pastamania.
Pastamania.
The fact that he had a restaurant was hilarious.
Yeah. Did you actually know about the George Foreman grill thing?
No.
So apparently that grill that George Foreman got was supposed to be Hulk Hogan's grill, but he missed a phone call. And so George Foreman got the endorsement deal instead. And so then Hulk Hogan tried to come up with his own grill after that, and it sucked and no one bought it.
I mean, sorry, Hulk, listen to your phone more. But so where I was going with that, like the 80s and 90s, it was the pinnacle of I am going to throw my mascot at you. I am going to create toys, TV shows, advertisement.
Backpacks and lunchboxes and underoos, everything.
Like mid-90s when the first Crash Bandicoot came out, no less. It was literally Crash's face, and it was borderline Tasmanian Devil-like insanity. And you knew it was Crash. It was live commercials. Hey, come get your copy of... What? Did you see that? He just stole the video game. Crash Bandicoot, like, stealing the game, running away in a mascot outfit. Then you had the video games, the series, everything like that. Like, the 90s was the heyday for we are going to have fun with our mascots and our characters in a way to get you to connect, in a way to just make you buy my shit.
Yeah, give us your money. Give us your money. You like the funny cartoon animal? Give us your money.
They didn't even have to do subliminal messaging anymore. It was direct. It was, haha, take
Dude,
this.
Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. For God's sake.
Pokemon!
Yeah, so we'll definitely get into the weeds of that later. But so the way this is going to work is we'll basically just take turns. We'll pick our mascot, and then we'll, justify it as best we can. Sound good?
So John stole the thunder last one when we were talking about, a couple episodes ago, actually, when we were talking about Tetris and the vein of a perfect video game. So I'm going to steal this mascot one. So for me...
So you're just going to take the first spot?
Exactly.
All right.
How does it feel?
I wish I could throw my microphone at you, but then that would not be good for the ASMR demographic.
I mean, we might hear a very interesting sound effect. I might have like a microphone imprint on my face. I'm just scarred for life. The podcast wars. The podcast wars.
Just heat up the tip of the microphone and then brand you with it.
Well, that went dark very fast.
Yeah.
So mine kind of falls into the vein of both character and mascot. So when you think platformers from 80s and 90s, your top two are always going to be Mario and Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mario versus Sonic. And the kind of sleeper for me, because I literally played every game plus his spin-off, every spin-off plus the spin-off of that, every spin-off, Mega Man.
Mega Man, that's a good one. Yeah.
So the Mega Man series came out, and when it initially came out over in Japan as Rockman, that's the Mega Man we know. That's the blue bomber. That's your mascot. Our first two iterations on the cover was some weird dude in this really messed up sci-fi-ish RoboCop universe.
You know the stories of those, right? Like how they had like 40 minutes to make a cover. This is like, oh, okay, here we go.
Oh my god.
Let me just get this colored pencil drawing of a guy with a gun.
Like, you want to talk about crunch time, 40 minutes, that's some crunch time, boys.
Yeah, the stories surrounding, like, the early localization of video games is crazy. But even Mega Man 2, like, they gave him, like, a day, and it looks way better.
The power of 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, I chose Mega Man because... So, I remember as a kid growing up, Mega Man 1 was my intro to the series. I didn't get
played the first one?
Yes, my dad hated me, apparently, because that game was hard as shit for a 5-year-old.
Well, it totally is. But, like, I was going to say, because most entry into the series, because there were, like, 6 Nintendo games. So, like, I know mine was, like, Mega Man 3 was my entry to the series.
So, you remember Gutsman back
Yes.
in the day? So, when you're fighting Gutsman in Mega Man 1, it's not like, oh, he's hit me, a little chunk of my health has gone off. You get hit, it's half your health.
Yep.
You get hit again, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just agony. I remember countless hours as a kid raging and just wanting to beat that guy. And then I finally beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't understand, beat this boss to have an advantage against this boss. Beat this boss to have an advantage against this boss, who will give you an advantage against here.
The core mechanic of the video game you just didn't get.
I was 5, okay?
Oh, yeah, well, everybody's stupid when they're 5.
Oof. Parents, if you're listening, your 5-year-old is dumb, according to John.
With certain things, okay? I'll qualify it that way.
Caveat.
Sometimes you're just stupid for the right reasons.
So, I chose this as my first pick because not only was I playing the game, I remember waking up early before school just to watch the Mega Man TV show, which was the biggest advertisement for...
Yo.
Oh my god.
That show is still legit funny today. Like when there's one episode where like the robots go haywire and everything on the city is on like a network and stuff like that, and there's just a scene of a ship going underneath the drawbridge and the bridge just goes boom boom and like crushes the boat, and it looks so deliberate, like fuck your boat.
Oh man,
that's fun.
And so I think it's flown under the radar. So Mario is never going to go anywhere. Sonic, even though Nintendo owns the properties, Sonic's never going to go anywhere. You have huge followings, huge fan bases. I mean, you name it. But like Mega Man, he's been around since the regular Nintendo. We have 11 Mega Man games. We have
the X games, the Star Force games,
X games, Star Force, Battle Network, ZX
Legends.
Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Zero. We will not talk about Mega Man Legends 64 because that was a very bastardized version of the PlayStation 1, and it was just awful. If you experience it, get the PlayStation 1. Do not get the Nintendo 64 one. Thank me later.
What happened?
So controls were horrible.
Uh-huh.
It was a very cheap, quick over port. Camera was clunky. Everything was just bad.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I played the PlayStation 1 myself. So
exactly, and it was so much fun. Like, I loved the OG Mega Man Legends. I actually recently picked up Mega Man Legends 2. I never got
Stop bragging.
I am not bragging. I never got to play it back in the day. And shout out to local retailer here, Flashback Video Games. My boy Henry hooked me up. Amazing game, and I can't tell you how awesome it was to finally beat the Mega Man Legends series. So much fun. So
I heard that the Legends 2 is like a hornier sequel.
It It's out there. I don't know. I don't know any other way to put it other than
Anime.
Basically,
It's anime.
It went off the deep end anime. That's the best way I can describe it. And so for me, that's my first pick. Mega Man has stood the test of time. Mega Man has been an iconic mascot for his own brand.
Right.
And he knew, the creators knew, in my opinion, they never were going to beat Mario. Sonic burst onto the scene. Sure as hell ain't going to beat the blue blur. So you know what? We are going to create our own cult. We are going to create our own fan base. And to this day, here recently, just a few years ago, Mega Man 11 came out for the Switch.
For everything. It's great.
And then all the collections have been remastered so everybody can experience the bullshit that was for Mega Man 1 through 6 on the regular Nintendo, all the Mega Man X games. So honestly, I think it is the biggest undersold mascot there is.
I can agree with that. I think even Capcom feels the same way because, finally we got 11 after how many years of nothing? But
Thank you, Capcom, for not listening to your fans. Now listen.
No, they hear their fans. It's just they only hear the fans of Resident Evil and Monster World. So.
Resident Evil 557,000 meets Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, not Monster World. I'm stupid. That's another Sega franchise.
I was gonna say, yeah, you missed the button there, boy.
People who are listening right now are doing the DiCaprio he said it wrong. Anyway,
Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man.
It's a good. That's a good first pick. And again, the idea of the mascots of video games, there are definitely the more iconic ones, the more renowned ones, whatever. So having one that had carved out a niche of their very own, that's great. For my first pick, I have to go with my boy Sonic the Hedgehog. I just have to, because I'm a basic bitch like that. But
ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to understand that in our first episode, when we were mentioning Sonic, we cut it out because we weren't sure, how it would be received. But literally, John's first words once Sonic was mentioned, go fast, eat ass.
Okay, we're going to cut that again. No, but it wasn't even about that. The whole point was that on the list, we talked about it afterward, but there were no Sonic games on that list. And I was just come on, man. But
I think...
I want to just justify my pick first.
Oh, absolutely.
So Sonic was the first, I played Mario and I played Nintendo before I played my Sega. And that was just my childhood. But when I came home and we got our Sega Genesis and we had a football game and a hockey game, and of course the pack-in game was Sonic the Hedgehog. And that was the one that me and my little kid brain adapted to oh, I want that one. Funny cartoon animal. He looks cool. I want to hang out with him. So Sonic is the reason why I actually probably have the affinity for games I do now. Period. Just period. And then getting Sonic 3 and Knuckles afterward, and seeing the Saturn and the Dreamcast and all these other multi-platform games that came out from then, even through the quote dark times of the Sonic Heroes through Sonic 06's.
Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, and freaking it's beautiful. And I loved all of those games to the point where it was so devout that even when people started to kind of come down on Sonic, these games aren't fun anymore. I was what are you talking about? Even to this day, we'll have to do an episode about this, but games that people
the rise and fall of Sonic.
No, I could talk. That's going to be a 3-hour episode. It's going to be just me talking. No, what I'm saying is that by popular opinion standards, bad games. Are they good? Maybe they get a raw deal. We'll do an episode about that, and I'll talk about Shadow the Hedgehog.
You like how we are speaking into existence, more episodes to entertain you.
Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, even in recent years, as he's become more meta and I'm actually kind of a dork, and then the Sonic Boom reboot and the Sonic movie, Monster.
Well, the 90s movie, honestly, so I don't have as much experience with Sonic as you do, but I remember... I had a Super Nintendo growing up, and, I enjoyed it. Super Mario RPG, Breath of Fire 1 and 2, Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistral, 7th Saga. You see where I'm going here, folks. JRPGs, got to keep them strong.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, I got a Sega right before the 32X came out.
Yo.
And my mom picked up Sonic and Knuckles, and if you remember, you could flip the game up and then put the other Sonics in there.
Hell yeah.
That blew my mind. I was in elementary school. I was like, oh, this is cool. So I beat 1 through 3, and then I get to, Sonic and Knuckles, and then I get to put the other cartridges in, and it's like, holy crap. It was replayability and a way to reconnect with your old games that Nintendo couldn't do. And I think personally, when I think of iconic mascots and characters, you can talk to anybody who doesn't know video games. They'll know Sonic, be it, oh yeah, he's the gaming hedgehog thing, or he's that weird kid in a suit that almost came into existence in the movie here recently.
Or he's the dude in all the memes about chili dogs.
Exactly. Like everybody, like he is universally known.
And I want to go deeper onto that because one of the things that I'll say for like on a personal note, like people look at Sonic as a very blank slate kind of character. Like, oh, he's the guy who runs fast. It's not true. If you actually look at the things that actually give him character in some of the games that came later, there is like a basis for who he is as a character, who he is as a hero, and what he does. And I think Sonic Unleashed had the best characterization of Sonic before they went into the whole meta, like, I'm a nerd, I'm a dork, look at me, that kind of stuff.
That was the werewolf one, right?
Yes. And one of the things, I'll actually talk about that. So one of the motifs in that game is the werehog, right? So he gets infected by basically... The way I truncate that story is Sonic teams up with God to put the devil back in the center of the planet. Like, that's what that game's about.
Video games, you have arrived.
And so when Sonic becomes the werehog, it's like, it's like all scary and torturous. And he's like, oh God, this dark version of me exists and I have to fight it. And over the course of the game, as he becomes like, aware of like what's happening and kind of more comfortable with who he is, there's a cut scene where they finally realize like, oh, this is what we have to do to put Dark Gaia away. Also, I'm Light Gaia, aka God. What's up? And then the sun's falling, like the sun's, like it's in the background. And then Sonic is just kind of like, instead of like, like groveling, like, no, I don't want to transform. He just kind of accepts it and boom, turns into the werehog. It's like, holy shit, there's an arc in that game of him accepting who he is, and that's nuts because you don't even see that in like some of like the bigger other games out there, even in some RPGs that don't have character development like that.
I want you all to understand that as much as I love JRPGs, folks, and I could talk to you about every one of them, this man takes that love, translates it obviously for Sonic, and it's like double that. If this dude could transmogrify himself into Sonic, I would never see him again because he'd be like, must go fast!
That would make some problems later with certain commitments I have. But yeah, no,
you could just run right to the commitment. Be like, I'm here. Okay, cool, bye.
Got it done. It's the Flash. Bam, gone. No, but
5-second wonder.
I don't like when people like generalize about certain characters or generalize about certain movies, books, whatever. So when you see a character that has a special meaning for you personally, and they're just kind of like, oh, screw that character, they're just this. It's like, no, it's there. Just look at it. That's what I say. So for Sonic, that's definitely one for me. That's why he's my number one pick.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Sonic because when it comes to that, we'll say stopping power, a mascot or a character.
Sonic's like a hollow tip.
Hey-o, I'm taking you out.
And then Shadow would just shoot him. Oh, also, one last thing I'll say about Sonic. So, in the game Shadow the Hedgehog, it was the first like E10 game, and they had mild swearing in it where they'd say damn and hell and stuff like that. The entire time I've played that game, all the other characters will swear and say, those mild curse words, and that's fine. But Sonic never did. I was playing not too long ago, and there's a level called Lethal Highway, and the goal is to stop a spaceship from going and blowing something up or escaping, right? If you fail that hero mission, Sonic will go, damn, they got away. Don't worry, I'll chase them down. And I remember hearing that for the first time and pausing. I'm just like, Sonic, you're supposed to be the good boy. You can't say them words.
You're supposed to be Pierre. No.
I just remember hearing that and being so like, what just happened? But it was just, we'll talk about it in another episode in the future. Shadow the Hedgehog, one of my favorite games of all time, bar none.
I feel like we're going to have an entire episode dedicated to Sonic, and I am going to live for this, folks, because he will let his inner freak Sonic flag fly.
My full furry will come out, don't you worry.
That sounds like a very hot time.
You know, we could have just let the audience figure that one out, but instead you just had to be like, well, everyone. All right. So with that, I yield the floor to you, sir. Who's your second pick?
So it's hard to top a mascot like that. Sonic is arguably the second most known character of all time and mascot of all time. He was the flagship for Sega. He was their pinnacle. He was Sega at one point was literally, how can we make this as good as Sonic? No, we can't get rid of it. Sega kind of shoehorned themselves because they invested so much time into it. They wouldn't put that kind of time into other things because it was the weird Sonic bar. Oh, you're not as good as Sonic 1, 2, or 3? And get the hell out of your game.
That's why we're not going to make another Space Channel 5 or another Jet Set Radio. Blech.
So I think that's a really good choice. Like, action figures, TV shows, movies.
Sonic Boom. Yep.
No.
Hey, shut
Knuckles as an idiot? No.
Ah, come on.
No.
We'll talk about this later. Give your next pick.
So I got to keep it home for me personally, folks. And in talking with John, I could have gone another way with this. And he raised a very valid point. So when it comes to JRPGs, when it comes to your RPGs, there's always the big bad. It's God. It's your father. It's
your father God.
Father God, no!
Father God, no! That would honestly just be like if you fed the JRPG tropes to an algorithm. That's what they would make.
Oh God,
that's Dragon Quest XI. Anyway,
I hate you.
Go ahead.
That's the sound of John dying, folks.
No, I'm just got him.
But when you think about it, one character, and in my opinion, because of that character's presence, is a mascot for it. Sephiroth.
I immediately want to say, explain yourself, because I know you're going to do it, but so you started with that, and when I heard that originally, because we talk about this stuff before we record sometimes, my immediate thought is, okay, so what makes him a mascot versus just a character in a franchise?
So, as you mentioned, he definitely is a character in the franchise, but when you think of, JRPGs, there is always a penultimate boss. There's always a potential super boss. There's always optional this or that, but there's always the final baddie.
Uh-huh.
And
penultimate, means before the final, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, rude.
I'm sorry.
Rude.
Sorry.
So you won't hear this, ladies and gentlemen, but I am going to drop kick him after this.
Fine. Whatever.
So you always have, you have your set mode and model. And games can differentiate, introducing new combat, this, that. But when you think of Big Bad for a JRPG,
mm-hmm.
two come to mind. You have Kefka from Final Fantasy VI, the psychotic clown that just said, fuck you, world. And then you have Sephiroth.
What about Lavos?
You have Lavos, yes. I love Chrono Trigger. Lavos is Big Bad, but with Lavos not having
much of a personality, he's more of a world event.
Yeah, he was more, hey, this is how I'm messing up the earth, but I'm kind of quiet and in the background. Whereas Kefka was directing. I mean, hell, one of the first acts of fuck-uppery Kefka does is he poisons the river and literally kills everyone in the castle. One of the main characters, wife dies, kid dies, king dies. The entire kingdom dies because Kefka is a bastard.
And then you hear that laugh.
On the Super Nintendo, sounding just like that.
I can do impressions of sound effects sometimes.
And that's cool. But then you have Sephiroth.
Mm-hmm.
So Final Fantasy VII, in my opinion, is the JRPG that kind of brought everyone in. You had people that maybe didn't play JRPGs or RPGs. You had people that were more shooter-oriented, racing-oriented, platform-oriented. Everybody that I know gave Final Fantasy VII a shot.
Even I did when I was a kid.
And Sephiroth, the music change, the atmosphere change, the first true reveal of him murdering everybody in Shinra Tower, to seeing what he did to the snake, finally getting to fight Genova, finally getting to see him, the moment with Aerith being just shanked, all of that, like you just see that progression and that build, and you immediately think JRPG. You can look at him, JRPG. You can turn him into a traditional mascot, like a sports mascot or anything. You're immediately going to know, oh, this is an RPG boss.
What team is going to have Sephiroth as their mascot?
The Japanese Masamunes.
I was going to say the Shinra Masamunes. And it's just, he comes out there and is like, go, go, team. But I think what you're also describing is like the actual elements of pacing and story progression that exist in the original game and not in the remake.
So look at how big he has gotten. Kingdom Hearts 1. You play through the game, you advance through the Colosseum.
He's the final boss, even there.
The boss of the game pales in comparison, difficulty-wise, to Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts. When you hear One Winged Angel playing, I do my best not to look at guides or, like, back in the day. Sometimes now I will because I don't have as much time as I did, but back in the day, I prided myself. No Brady guides, no
hints, no
nothing. Yeah. And when I finally got there, I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna get." At the time, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a new Keyblade," and I hear One Winged Angel play. I lost my shit. It was, oh my god, this is awesome. Oh my god, I'm at 1 health. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Go back in. Oh my god, I'm at 1 health. I'm dead.
You're touching on something that actually happened to me when I was a kid and I played that game. I got so good at fighting Sephiroth in that game, I could beat him without getting hit. And I told that to a buddy of mine, like a guy who was going to be my friend at the time. I was just talking to a kid on the bus. I was like, I can beat him without getting hit. And he's like, bullshit. And I proved it to him. He's like, how the fuck did you do that?
So...
What's up, Kai? Peace.
So, like, John, when you think of the big bad for a JRPG, Sephiroth is synonymous, right?
And it's even it's infecting other franchises and Air Guides.
Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, you got the Final Fantasy VII Remake, like Sephiroth is going to be more mainstream than ever. Super Smash Brothers.
What you're saying is that like this character is prolific and that's what makes him a mascot, because even outside of his own franchise, he is still seen as this, like, the conflict between Cloud and, by effect, Zack and Sephiroth. That is something that makes them so, like, identifiable. That's what makes them iconic.
And you could have somebody that has never played a JRPG ever. You play Sephiroth and it's like, oh yeah, this is like an RPG bad guy. They know it. Like my friend that I play Smash with doesn't really play JRPGs at all. And when Sephiroth came out and you saw the reveal trailer, bleh, you see the reveal trailer and it looks like Mario just got impaled. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
I we were both like, yo, what? So John and I watched it at work. So we actually work together as well. I mean, he can't get rid of me. And everyone we were just like, oh my god. Now, obviously, Nintendo didn't kill Mario. It's hanging by his strap.
It's very cute.
But that shadow.
When he cuts the moon of World of Light in half and then he shows up and then people are just like, oh. And then Cloud knows what's up. He's like, oh, fuck.
It's
like when Sora showed up.
Exactly.
They revealed Sora like he was like Jesus.
The internet really lost their minds.
I was there. I was with them because
John was one of them. He was just like, Sora!
I mean, in so few words. But like,
that was one word.
I was excited.
That was one word.
I was excited to see him. And I thought, because it was one of those, now we're just talking about this, because that was the one reveal that I didn't think they'd ever do. Like, I expected Goku before I expected Sora. Anyway,
so the other route I could have gone, and John made a very valid point with it, like when we were talking about this before recording this, a chocobo. Like, you see a chocobo, it's instant, oh, that's Final Fantasy. That's this. And yes, it is across all of the games. There is a chocobo in every single Final Fantasy, from the MMOs all the way down to the NES ones. But I wanted to stick with my boy. I wanted to make my case for Sephiroth. Like, I will take him any day. And if we're pitting mascots against each other, I don't care how fast Sonic is. Sonic ain't outrunning Sephiroth. There was a death battle. He cuts faster than rain and water can fall, and he can move as fast. So Sonic would die.
We're not using Death Battle as a basis, but anyway.
Your argument's invalid.
Meanwhile, as you were talking about this, I just Googled Kentucky Fried Chocobo, and I'm like, that sounds good.
Oh, no.
Because of course that exists. Okay, so that's your second pick. And I feel you've defended it well. So... Now, because like we're seeing the depths of which that this stuff can actually reach. So there's a part of me that wants to be the basic bitch and take like the heavy hitters and stuff like that.
I mean, you already took one of them. I technically took one of them with Mega Man.
That's true. It's the. I need to think. I'm stammering, but like.
I came prepared, and now John is stuck.
That's Mario. Anyway, no. I have to look in my own history and stuff that meant, stuff for me, because even as I played a lot of Sega back in the day and cared way more about Sonic than I cared about Mario, or I had a PlayStation over a Saturn, that colored my expectations and what I want, right? But here's the dark horse that I'm going to bring in here. I take Bubsy Bobcat.
What?
Bubsy the dang Bobcat is my second pick.
What?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, I mean, your pick, I'm ready to hear you defend it, but I am skeptical, because I remember Bubsy 3D.
That's what everyone remembers, but I remember Bubsy on the Sega.
So, I never played Bubsy on the Sega. Bubsy 3D was on sale, and my mom picked it up for me because she's like, oh, I saw you playing that weird Acrobat game. Air the Acrobat, folks.
Don't take that one. I want that one.
So she saw me playing that. Hey, I'm not taking him. And so she thought, oh, cool, cute little animal thing. This is awesome. That game.
I like how we're just jumping into why my decision was bad. No.
I'm talking about my experience with Bubsy 3D. Now, I do understand where you're coming from on the Sega, and I'm ready to hear that.
Okay.
But I just want to express my sadness for Bubsy 3D, because I was just getting into like the 3D games, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It's another game. What am I doing? What? No. What? I'd rather play Q*bert than this.
Oh my god. There's another mascot for you.
But that's me.
Uh-huh.
And that's my experience. So I'm going to turn the floor over to John, because I want to hear his defense, because it sounds like Bubsy on the Sega could represent as a good mascot, because we had evolved to the anamorphic and anthropomorphic, my apologies, mascots.
Anamorphic is when you change on a book cover.
You hush. Might as well have been. It could be video game into Bubsy, or Bubsy into video game.
Oh my god, could you imagine a crossover between Animorphs and Accolade?
Oh god.
Accolade-amorphs?
Oh no. But I want to, it sounds like Bubsy on the Sega was super iconic, because back then it was, what animal can we churn out next?
Well, what it was it was an actual effort by the people at Accolade, because that's what the 90s was, right? It was to make those mascots, to make them sell, and to make a big franchise and all sorts of stuff, right?
Toys.